Next up, Michaela Carpenter. I hope I got your first name right. Miss Carpenter.
Move this down or anything?
Yes, you can
Okay.
pull that down.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michelle Carpenter. Yesterday morning, our 5-year-old child, Charles Carpenter, Charlie, boarded the bus at 6:15 a.m. as he has since the start of the school year. He had a substitute driver and she checked him in on the bus as he boarded. We knew ahead of time that there would be a sub this week and nothing appeared out of the ordinary. Just after 11 a.m., I received a startling call from the Bentonville School District Transportation Office that Charlie was just found on the bus. I was told he was okay and inside drinking some water and eating a Lunchable, and could I come pick him up? After having to repeatedly ask for an address, I left right away to meet my child. At the time of day and level of heat outside had not fully hit me. It took me about 30 minutes to arrive as we live a good distance away from the transportation yard. I was just simply focused on getting to him. Charlie was left on the bus in the hot sun for hours. Charlie knew they were supposed to go to one school for drop-offs, then his, but says the stop at his school didn't happen. He waited in his seat, quietly behaving as we have taught him to do, while the adult on the bus was negligent and left him alone. Charlie didn't know where he was or why the bus driver just left. He thought she would be back any minute to take him to his school. He was scared and cried out for his mom and dad and his dog. 4 times he cried. 4 times. He said that many times yesterday. No one heard his cries. Charlie didn't even realize he was in trouble. He didn't have a lunch as he was planning to eat at school yesterday. He had minimal water. He peed all over himself. He sat there quietly sweating and waiting for the adult that we told him would keep him safe, but never came back. Thankfully for Charlie, a maintenance man happened to walk on the bus and saw him hours after he was left there. Charlie was drenched from head to toe, very thirsty, red and hot in appearance, covered in urine. Despite being instructed to call 911 multiple times, 911 was never called. Given Charlie's physical condition, 911 should have been called before any other calls were made. Instead, the superintendent was called over and a nurse who had to find her own transportation to get there. Medical attention was delayed. We are grateful for the local news stations that wanted to make this issue known. We've already had several parents reach out to us to let us know that they've had the same or similar incidents happen with their children in this district. This apparently wasn't the first time. So given that this is a repeat practice to leave children unattended on hot buses, it is my worry that Charlie's traumatizing event yesterday will not be the last. There will be more children hurt, and does somebody else's children need to die in order for you guys to take it serious? I encourage all the parents who claim to have had their children be in this situation to also please hotline it, call the police, report it to the board at these meetings, make it public, scream out loud, fight for your child. It has to be documented for anything to change. This was preventable. And I just, obviously we'd like answers. And something to change so it doesn't happen again. Our child won't ride the bus again, but other children still are. So, thank you.
Next up, Michael Carpenter.
Dr. Jones, President White, board members. As you've heard my wife speak about Charlie's time at the bus barn, I wanted to bring up another serious issue that we had to learn about the hard way. Per discussion with someone at the Thomas Jefferson front office, apparently nothing is done for a child that is absent. No one calls or sends any kind of message to make the parents aware. I was told the standard procedure is to call the parents after a few days of absence if they didn't hear from the parents. It's been our past experience in other school districts, regardless of age, to be notified of any absence at school. I was told this only happens in this district with older kids, middle school and high school. Why is that? Especially when there's a history of kids missing or being left on buses. While we find this district policy to be unacceptable, Charlie's situation was not just an absence, he was a missing child for hours. Charlie was checked into the school district at 6:15 in the morning. There was documentation, a daily log on the bus, and at least one adult that should have been responsible for him and knew he was in attendance at that day. Charlie was missing from his school for several hours, and no one noticed that he was gone. No one was looking for him. No one from the school called me or my wife. Meanwhile, Charlie was suffering on a hot school bus in an unknown location. Driving him to school doesn't seem to solve the problem because as soon as he's dropped off, he enters the school door alone. No one is confirming on the other side to make sure all the kids get to their classroom safely. Charlie didn't have this new card for the new system that's been lauded in the press, even though it's supposed to be available or we don't know when it's coming. His bus is still using a paper checklist. The driver checks his name on every morning, and I see the bus driver in the afternoon check the bus at the end because he's the first one on, last one off. The cards may improve the situation only if someone or some system is confirming that every child that gets on the bus also gets off the bus. My request is that the school district needs to hold someone at the school accountable for checking in these students until the system is up and running. Figure out a way to check, recheck all the kids have been given to your care. To your care. So they are safe. Please don't let another child go missing from your care. This incident was entirely preventable. Thank you.